Hi, my name is Noma Tamsangamdlazi. I create content on mental wellness and personal development. And in this video, I want to share with you 10 different lessons from the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. We're doing lessons from Law 31 until Law 40. So before we get onto those lessons, please allow me to share with you 3 different quotes by Robert Greene. The first one is, half of mastery of power comes from what you do not do, what you do not allow yourself to get dragged into, right? So this means that basically you do not allow yourself to get dragged in certain conversations with certain people, and you're truly intentional about that. You understand that you shouldn't be arguing with certain people trying to prove a point, because now that is completely necessary, and the best way is to truly try to preserve and reserve your energy for truly important things in your life. That is such a beautiful way of understanding that you shouldn't be all over trying to prove a point to many different people, because now you won't win. You don't want to involve yourself, you don't want to indulge yourself in political conversations, in political arguments, because now you know you might lose in one way or another. Even if you don't, maybe you might win, but at the end of the day, if you try to prove superiority in those conversations, you're actually at a point where you understand and you've mastered power itself. You've mastered the ability to reserve your energy for truly important things in your life, instead of struggling and really trying to prove a point to certain conversations with certain people, right? So he says that if there is something you want but cannot have, show contempt of it. The less interest you reveal, the more superior you seem, right? So this is a true fact, really, that if you're truly obsessed about something and you show that level of obsession to someone or to anything, that there's a high chance that that thing will completely run away from you, because now you're truly obsessed about it. This comes from a point as well of trying to control people, of trying that people get your attention in one way or another, right? So if you try to prove a point that you're trying really to get their attention and to get them to just be present with you, they will run away. So the best thing is to show contempt of such. Just show less interest, just reveal less interest to certain things. That is how you will gain those things ultimately in one way or another, right? So the other one is, the way you carry yourself will often determine how you are treated. This is a fact. This is a point, right? Because really, as a person, this is one of my philosophical understandings as well, that how you are treated as a person is largely determined by how you behave, how you show yourself up to certain people, right? So this means that you could only determine or establish how you want other people to treat you by how you carry yourself, by how you do things, by how you show up to certain conversations, to people, right? That is how you establish your position in the ability to demand respect, demand that you get appreciated. You do have a choice of how other people perceive you. You do have a choice on the amount or the level of respect you do receive as a person by simply portraying yourself and how you carry yourself as a person, right? So this is such a beautiful philosophy, a beautiful understanding, that at the end of the day, we do have a choice on how other people relate to us, on how other people perceive us, simply by how you carry yourself as a person, simply by how you do things before other people, simply by how you relate and just converse with other people. That is how other people decide that this is how we should treat you, right? So Law 31 says that control the options, get others to play with the cards you dealt, right? So this means that You force them to make choices between the lesser of two evils, both of which serve your purpose, right? So one thing about this book is that it will give you tactics to navigate on life, right? To understand way better some of the internal things that you wouldn't really, some of the tricks, the tactics, the hacks towards life, right? So it really does give us an understanding of really just life itself, right? So he says that whenever people feel they have a choice, they walk into your trap that much more easily, right? So the most important thing is for you to understand that you have to understand that you do have control over options, right? And you should have the intent to really give other people options, while you know at the end of the day you're just playing the cards, and at the end of the day you want to play the cards right to other people, right? So this unwillingness to probe the smallness of your choices stems from the fact that too much freedom creates a kind of anxiety, and that is a fact. That the less options we have, the more the better we can deal with such, right, than having really more choices and more options, which are truly stressing at some point. So our limited range of choices comforts us, right? That is why as a minimalist as well, I truly enjoy having less as a person, because really a limited range of choices gives a level of comfort, right? So he says that setting up a narrow range of choices then should always be a part of your deceptions. Very important to give other people less choices to deal with, right, in terms of conversations or anything, right? So law 32 says play to people's fantasies, right? The truth is often avoided because it is ugly and unpleasant, right? So people really believe that their problems arise from their own misdeeds and stupidity. Change is slow and gradual. It requires hard work, a bit of luck, a fair amount of sacrifice, and a lot of patience. The key to fantasy is distance. The distant has allure and promise, seems simple and problem-free. So the simple man is without problems and is happier than the powerful and the rich. So the most important thing in this law is really the understanding that you should play to people's fantasies, right? You should try to a certain level to entertain people while you know that you're just trying to play the cards right at the end of the day, right? The simple man is without problems and is happier than the powerful and the rich, right? The more you try to simplify your life, the easier it gets, the more easier it is for you to fully live, right? Because you have less things to deal with. You don't have clutter in your life. You have just a simple relationship with each and every of your acquisitions, right? So the more we try really to get to be more simpler, the less clutter we have to deal with, and the more happier we could just become as a person, right? So law 33 says discover each man's thumbscrew, right? Everyone has a weakness, a gap in the castle wall. That is a fact, right? Freud marked, no mortal can keep a secret. If his lips are silent and he chatters with his fingertips, betrayal oozes out of him at every pore. This is a critical concept in the search of a person's weakness. It is revealed by seemingly unimportant gestures and passing words. I've realized this lately. I've realized how true is the statement that even if someone does not really say anything to try to maybe to exert negative influence or say anything that could seem to be potentially harmful to the other person. But you could actually study the person if you really understand the unspoken language. You could actually see that this person is full of resentment, right? This person is full of anger, right? Even if they don't really say any words, they don't really say anything, right? By simply the ability to study that person, you study and you understand the unspoken language of it, right? So knowing about a childhood need gives you a powerful key to a person's weakness, right? Because many of us really who many people who have struggled in their childhood, there's still a lot of things even in their adulthood that they still have to deal with every single day, that they still struggle with, right? So that is really how you could establish someone else's weakness if you understand their childhood, how much difficult it was or however, right? So if your victims or rivals went without something important, such as a parental support when they were children, supply it, or its facsimile. If they reveal a secret taste, a hidden indulgence, indulge it. And in either case, they will be unable to resist you, right? So this guy tells us to really to be intentional about comforting other people, especially those whom we know that they've had a difficult childhood. Just take and adopt that responsibility to really to nurture that person and really give them a sense of belonging, right? Because you know very well that they've struggled in terms of parental support, right? So the two main emotional voids to fill are insecurity and unhappiness. The insecure are suckers for any kind of social validation. As for the chronically unhappy, look for the roots of their unhappiness, right? So it is very important for all of us to get to understand our insecurities, right? Because now if you don't really understand your insecurities, you just hoover all over around seeking for validation in many different ways, simply because you have not gotten to do the inner work to work out on your insecurities, so that you don't get to be a victim of social validation, right? So the ability to fill their emotional voids is a great source of power, right? And an indefinitely prolongable one, right? It is always a prolongable one, right? Because now this void that still has to be filled inside you, it is just a never-ending void. One liberating effect to that is the ability really to work out on it. It is self-awareness, right? Without self-awareness, you can't really be aware of your voids. You can't be aware of your insecurities, right? Because now if you understand where those insecurities come from, it means that you could actually delve straight with the problem, right? Without really trying to fill that void, creating more problems on top of the problems that you already have or you're just struggling with as a person, right? So a man's need to conquer women actually reveals a tremendous helplessness. This is a fact. If you try to prove how much superior to a female counterpart in one way or another, it's either through emotionally or maybe you try to abuse that person physically, you show a level of tremendous helplessness. You are struggling, you need help, right? One thing that is really of importance is really understanding that manhood, masculinity itself, it really has nothing to do with proving superiority to anyone else, right? It is really the ability to exert influence, to change the narrative, to change the circumstance, to put in effort, right? It really has nothing to do with proving superiority to the other person, right? So Robert Greene himself, he says that a man's man's need to conquer women actually reveals a tremendous helplessness. We always see this with guys who go around sleeping with different women, of how they struggle emotionally, of how they struggle, how much insecure they are, those people, right? Because now they are trying to fill a void that has not yet been worked with upon. They have never really took the time to sit down that why do I have this tremendous helplessness? Why am I struggling so much? Why am I so weak when it comes to women? In many different ways, right? Why do I keep trying to prove superiority to many different women? They have never really sat down with themselves to ask themselves those questions, because now a real man would really just commit and surrender to one woman and stick to that woman for the rest of their lives, right? And if it does happen with a relationship, but you focus on one woman, you build with that woman, and you create a truly happy space, right? Without really struggling, just hovering around with many different women. So that Robert Greene himself, he says that is if you try to conquer many different women, that is a powerful sign, that is a red flag of tremendous helplessness. You need help. Work out on your life and find peace so that you could be able to find one woman which could really help you out in many different ways as a person, right? So he says, look to the opposites and never take appearances at a face value, right? So this is very important, right, for us to understand that whatever the other person portrays to you, you need to be careful of the fact that it may not necessarily be true. You need that guts to understand that no, man, it could potentially be the opposite. That is such a powerful understanding, that you shouldn't take everything at a face value. Whatever you start to believe it, you see exactly and you portray it like that. No, understand that you shouldn't take things at a face value. Actions speak louder than words, right? At the end of the day, right? So Law 34 says, be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one, right? So the way you carry yourself will often determine how you are treated. In the long run, appearing vulgar or common will make people disrespect you. That is a fact. For a king respects himself and inspires the same sentiment in others. By acting regally and confident of your powers, you make yourself seem destined to wear a crown, right? So really, the people who try to be truly focused on themselves, just calm and just reserved, and they're truly the people who gain a level of respect, right? Because they are not the people who hoover around trying to prove a point in many different people, right? And I see this in a practical sense in my everyday life, in work, wherever, that people nyani who are just commoners, who want to be all over, they don't get the same level of respect. They don't get the same amount of respect than people who are just reserved, who are calm, who treats themselves like kings, right? So those people they just create an aura around themselves that makes us think that we should respect this person, right? It's just how it is, right? So if you need a level of respect, you should understand that you shouldn't be all over, right? You should just stay calm and keep it to yourself, keep reserved, and that is how other people decide how they want to treat you at the end of the day, right? So understand, it is within your power to set your own price, right? How you carry yourself reflects what you think of yourself, right? If you ask for little, shuffle your feet and lower your head, people will assume this reflects your character, right? But this behavior is not you. It is only how you have chosen to present yourself to other people. You can just as easily present the Columbus front, buoyancy, confidence, and the feeling that you were born to wear a crown, right? So however, in whatever character you have, whatever personality you portray around other people, this means that it is a decision that you chose, right? It is not really your actual self, but it is the decision that you took and how you wanted really to present yourself to other people. This means that you can still change, you can still alter how you relate to other people. You can still you can always alter your character, your personality in relation to other people at any given point. You do have a choice to that. Yes, it won't be easy, because now certain people still expect you to do this and this, because this is how they know you, but now you're trying to change, so maybe you probably might confuse them, but the essence of this is that you do have a choice to present yourself in many different ways, as you evolve as a person, as you change, right, as you grow older as well. The trick is simple. Be overcome by your self-belief. Act like a king. You are likely to be treated as one. The crown may separate you from other people, but it is up to you to make that separation real. You have to act differently, demonstrating your distance from those around you. So this trick is for people who want to get to a point where they actually understand themselves, right? To understand themselves at a deeper level, to truly find their main purpose of their lives. Because now the average person out there really does not care about being much of different to other people. They really just want to conform to the standards of the society or whatever circle that they're in. But the people who want to fully focus on that which it is the purpose of their lives, they really want to just act differently. They demonstrate their distance from those around them, because now they understand their position, that it is that of leadership, or in many different ways, right? So he says that the crown, place it upon your head, and you assume a different pose, tranquil yet radiating assurance. Never show doubt, never lose your dignity beneath the crown, or it will not fit. It will seem to be destined for one more worthy. Do not wait for a coronation. The greatest emperors crown themselves, right? So just focus on really the ability to build yourself as a person. Have this intent of really understanding that you deserve more in terms of your character, in terms of your personality, and you can always alter in many different ways to actually make sure that that crown fits you. It fits you perfectly well, right? So the reversal to this law is that the idea behind the assumption of regal confidence is to set yourself apart from other people. But if you take this too far, it will be your undoing. Never make the mistake of thinking that you elevate yourself by humiliating people. Yay, this is very important. Also, it is never a good idea to loom too high above the crowd. You make yourself an easy target, right? And there are times when an aristocratic pose is eminently dangerous, right? You need to understand that being all by yourself to a certain level might make you an easy target. So the best thing is to really try to blend and just be present with the people that you see, that they resonate with you, right? Don't try to distance yourself too much from the crowd, because now you will fail dismally and you will fall. And when you fall, those people kuzofanele bakudobhe phansi, kuzofanele bakuseze, although you were just high, flying too high like an eagle, right? So the most important thing is really the ability to incorporate really this regal confidence you have and the understanding of certain people whom you could consider your allies, to live with that people and preserve your relationships with such people, right? Understand You are radiating confidence, not arrogance or disdain, right? So if you try to move too far away from other people at any given point, you might struggle. Understand that you're radiating confidence, right? Confidence, not arrogance or disdain, really. This just contempt of other people. No, not that, but the ability to be confident enough to understand that you still need other people in the process, right? Law 35 says, master the art of timing, right? Never seem to be in a hurry. Hurrying betrays a lack of control over yourself and over time. Always seem patient, as if you know that everything will come to you eventually, right? Become a detective of the right moment, right? Just understand that you need to master the art of timing, understand and respect time to a greater level so that you could really live your life without so much of really being in a hurry, right? So without patience as your sword and shield, your timing will fail and you will inevitably find yourself a loser, right? You need to understand the art of patience as well. Sometimes not acting in the face of danger is your best move. You wait, you deliberately slow down. As time passes, it will eventually present opportunities you had not imagined, right? So this is how you really understand and master the art of timing, but by really understand that there's situations, there's circumstances in life that we don't really have to do anything. We could just really just listen or just endure whatever it is that you're really going through as a person. But when it is time to move, your guts will actually tell you, right? Without really and doing a lot of these things, but really understanding the art of timing itself, right? By upsetting the timing of your opponent, while you stay patient, you open up time for yourself, which is half the game, right? So this is very important for you really to understand that the art of patience, the art of timing itself, it demands an intent. You have to be very intentional about really understanding that timing is everything, right? And if you fail to understand or to master timing itself, it means that there's quite a lot of things that you always hurry to try to fix, and yet it is not yet time for you to put in effort to exert your energy in that pursuit. You just have to relax and just see through how things move, right? So making people wait is a powerful way of forcing time, as long as they do not figure out what you are up to. You control the clock, they linger in limbo and rapidly come unglued, opening up opportunities for you to strike. That is just how it is. That's the game of life. So law 36 is disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge, right? By acknowledging a petty problem, you give it existence and credibility. The more attention you pay an enemy, the stronger you make him. And a small mistake is often made worse and more visible when you try to fix it. Yeah? It is sometimes best to leave things alone, right? If there is something you want but cannot have, show contempt of it. The less interest you reveal, the more superior you seem, right? So this is very important. It is just the art of really understanding life itself, just really understanding that timing is everything, right? There is time for things to just be by themselves, to just leave things to be by themselves, while you'd really try to just relax and watch over events instead of really forcing yourself onto such things, right? So the most important thing is really the ability to understand that you have to leave things to be by themselves. So if there is something you want but cannot have, show contempt of it. the less interest you reveal, the more superior you seem. And the more superior you seem, really, you'll realize that that thing, that which you've always wanted, it will just ultimately come to you in one way or another, because you've shown contempt of it, you've shown a level of arrogance towards it. You just ignored that thing, right? So by acknowledging a petty problem, we give it existence and credibility. So this comes from a point where you realize if someone tries to give you a hard time, then Luena, you try to react and try to just show your attention again, right? So to a certain level, you shouldn't be doing that, especially if you could see that this person's character itself ibolile kwayona akunakuthi ingalungiswa nguwe uyi-one. You should be really intentional about really distancing yourself. Just really don't give yourself so much attention. Don't give that person your attention, right? Because now if you give it if you give them your attention, you actually give them existence and credibility. Just don't give yourself, just don't waste your energy, time and attention to things that you see that they really hardly will never be fixed until the other person tries really to know that whatever it is that they're doing is completely wrong, right? Don't try to fix things that are completely beyond your control as a person, right? So you choose to let things bother you. You can just as easily choose not to notice the irritating offender, right? To consider the matter trivial and unworthy of your interest. That is how you live. When you pay attention to a person, the two of you become partners of sorts, each moving in step to the actions and the actions of the other. In the process, you lose your initiative. You lose your initiative when you try to argue in conversations that you see they are truly not valuable and they are not they won't even end well. You are losing the initiative in those conversations by indulging and committing yourself to political conversations and things that are completely unnecessary, that are just completely beyond your control. So the best thing is to keep the initiative on your side, keep quiet, and just focus all your energy, reserve all your energy for truly important things in your life, right? So playing the card of contempt is immensely powerful, for it lets you determine the conditions of the conflict. The war is waged on your terms. This is the ultimate power pose. You are the king and you ignore what offends you, right? Watch how this tactic infuriates people. Half of what they do is to get your attention, right? And when you withhold it from them, they flounder in frustration. This is a fact. Whatever you try to ignore to a certain level, that person really just tries to, might even stop by all that energy they have to completely infuriate you, right? So by ignoring people, you cancel them out. Yeah, this unsettles and infuriates them. That is a fact, right? Uncontrollable desires make you seem weak, unworthy, pathetic. You need to turn your back on what you want. Show your contempt and disdain, right? Contempt is the prerogative of the king, where his eyes turn. What he decides to see is what his reality. What he ignores and turns his back on is as good as dead. You have the power to really preserve your energy, time, and attention just as a king, right? That whatever it is that you want to see, it is exactly what it is that you want to see. And whatever that you don't really try to, whatever it is that you don't care about, you try to ignore, it is just as good as dead, right? So this is the power you have when you play the card of contempt, periodically showing people that you can do without them. This is a really powerful strategy. You waste no energy in this powerful strategy because now you understand your powers that your presence is important, and you want really to be appreciated, to be acknowledged. And when you don't get all that in any given relationship, in any given setting, you can simply maneuver and just leave and flee from that situations. That is how you prove your presence as well. Although it does unsettles other people, but it gives you the options to understand that it gives you the options. It also gives the other people options, really, for them to understand that they do have a choice whether to treat you well, or maybe they could continue do the things that they're doing, and just lose you at the end of the day, right? Law 37 says, create compelling spectacles, right? Stage spectacles for those around you, then full of arresting visuals and radiant symbols that heighten your presence, right? So this is much easier for people with very strong personalities, because they are just genuinely who they are. They talk wherever they are. It is much easier for such people, right? So flaunting your pleasure in alien ways of thinking and acting will reveal a different motive to demonstrate your superiority over your fellows. So don't try to demonstrate your superiority over your fellows, right? So think as you like. So Law 38 says, think as you like, but behave like others, right? Share your originality only with tolerant friends and those who are sure to appreciate your uniqueness. Just create a small circle of people you can trust as a person, and just fully live and embrace yourself with such people. That is how really you learn to enjoy life as a person. So don't flaunt your pleasures in alien ways of thinking and acting while revealing in a different motive to demonstrate your superiority over your fellows. Just don't keep flaunting your pleasures to other people, right? Because now you demonstrate your superiority over your fellows, right? And that is just not what you want to do. You don't want to determine superiority over other people. You want to just blend with other people and just keep well, right? It is inevitable in society that certain values and customs lose contact with their original motives and become oppressive, right? And there will always be those who rebel against such oppression, harboring ideas far ahead of their time, right? That is a fact. So it is also well to avoid correcting people's mistakes in conversation, however good your intentions may be, for it is easy to offend people and difficult, if not possible, to mend them. This is so true. You should understand that you don't have to keep trying to fix people wherever you are as a person, unless you are ready to lose those relationships. You are ready to lose those friendships, right? Because now trying to mend those relationships will be very difficult for you. You might lose that person entirely. The best thing is not really to try to fix people, right? Just do it as long as you understand how much of a risk it is for you to do that, right? So the wise and clever people learn early on that they can display conventional behavior and mouth conventional ideas without having to believe in them, right? So if you stick to conventional appearances in public, few will believe you think differently in private, right? When you go into society, leave behind your own ideas and values and put on the mask that is appropriate for the group in which you find yourself. That is how you blend with other people, right? Because now you don't try to challenge whatever beliefs and the values they have, but you really just conform to their standards for that moment, right? Just put on that mask of really pretending that whatever situation is like that, but at the end of the day, you know that genuinely so on your side, you do have the values that you confirm and live by, right? Law 39 says, stir up waters to catch fish, right? Anger and emotion are strategically counterproductive, right? You must always stay calm and objective. But if you can make your enemies angry while staying calm yourself, you gain a decided advantage. This is a fact, right? So to show your frustration is to show that you have lost your power to shape events. It is this helpless action of the child who resorts to a hysterical fit to get his way. The powerful never reveal this kind of weakness. So showing anger itself, it reveals a level of weakness. So we should be careful and be truly intentional about really just not really portraying anger or showing anger, right? Because now you reveal weakness through anger, and that is not what we want to do. We want to be at a point where we understand that we have control into things. We don't have too much attachment onto things, but we have control over ourselves, and we understand that we can let things be. We can let those situations be without really not so much attachment from our side, right? So for repression drains us of energy and pushes us into strange behavior. Instead, we have to change our perspective. We have to realize that nothing in the social realm and in the game of power is personal, right? So anger only cuts off options, and the powerful cannot thrive without options. You have to understand that you need options. You need options to maneuver your life. You can't just oppress or just squeeze yourself into anger, because now anger does not give you options, right? You're just irritated and you do anything crazy. But if you try to keep calm, that is when you can re-establish and determine the options you have for that particular situation, right? So choose carefully whom you bait and never stay up the shucks, right? There's certain people whom, if you've offended or you did them wrong, they will haunt you the rest of their lives. So be careful not to offend the wrong person in life. Be careful not to offend certain people, because now they will haunt you the rest of their lives. They will make you pay for your stupidity. They will make you pay for really undermining, looking down upon them. They will make you pay, and you will feel their pain. So please be careful about really just offending wrong people in your life. Study your opponents very carefully. Just study the people very well before you try to do anything stupid. You offend them in many different ways, right? So whether purposefully staged or not, if your outbursts come too often, they will lose their power. So finally, there are times when a well-timed burst of anger can do you good, right? But your anger must be manufactured and under your control, then you can determine exactly how and on whom it will fall, right? So anger itself as an emotion is very powerful, right? It can actually change the perspective. It can actually shift a lot of things because it's a powerful emotion itself, right? So you need to understand how to work out on that emotion such that you get the desired result, right? Such that you actually understand that even in that emotion, fully immersed in that anger, you still have the ability to take in options and really understand that you still have the control of how the events manifest at the end of the day, right? So whether purposefully staged or not, if your outbursts come too often, they will lose their power, right? So if you keep showing a level of anger every now and then, people will start to think that you actually have anger problems, right? And they will not take you seriously. They will really treat you like someone who literally does need help, because now you can be angry where it's just not necessary. Like if your outbursts come too often, that's where the problem will always be, because now you'll completely lose your power at the end of the day, right? So law 40 says that despise the free lunch, right? What is offered for free is dangerous. It usually involves either a check or a hidden obligation. By paying your own way, you stay clear of gratitude, guilt, and deceit. It is also often wise to pay the full price. There is no cutting corners with excellence, right? Be lavish with your money and keep it circulating, for generosity is a sign and a magnet of power, right? So I realized this lately as well, that what is offered for free really is dangerous, right? Because now the person will give you this free lunch, and at the end of the day they would realize that how much you owe them for certain things, right? And in our way, as someone who does receive that free lunch, you feel a sense of really indebtedness to that person, right? So you should be careful. That's why Robert Greene says, just despise the free lunch, just avoid freebies, avoid free things, because now they create a certain connection of things that you would have just avoided one way or another, right? Because that person who has given you a free lunch, they feel entitled to you in one way or another, and now at the same time you will feel that you owe them for certain things. So that is a guilt you don't want to be fully incorporated in it, but you want to just live guilt-free in one way or another, right? So the powerful learn early to protect their most valuable resources, independence and room to maneuver, right? By paying the full price, they keep themselves free of dangerous entanglements and worries. That is how you do it. You avoid the freebies, you avoid the free lunch, and you actually pay yourself so that you so you actually pay the price so that you keep yourself free of dangerous entanglements and worries, just how it is. So never let lust for money lure you out of the protective and enduring fortress of real power. Make your power your goal, and money will find its way to you, right? Just fully focus on what it is that you want to change, whatever perspective you want to actually infiltrate on other people, but just fully focus on that. Focus on getting things done. Just focus on putting in the work, and the money will eventually find you in its own way, right? So it is very important for you to consider how important your power to exert influence is, more than money itself, because money will find your way in one way or another. You fully focus on the change that you want to implement, then money will come to you, right? So strategic generosity is always a great weapon in building a support base, particularly for the outsider. Very important. That is a fact. Powerful people give freely, buying influence rather than things. Very important. The ability to be flexible with your wealth, putting it to work, not to buy objects, but to win people's hearts. That is an understanding of really the ability to win people's hearts. When you insist on paying less, you may save yourself, but the insults you cause and the cheap impression you create will cost you in reputation, which is the thing, the powerful price above all. Learn to pay the full price. It will save you a lot in the end. Just find the intent of really the ability to pay the full price, whatever it is that you really try to buy, or whatever it is that you need. Make sure that you don't cut corners through it, but you try to go full force. You pay the price, you pay the full price in whatever it is that you do. But anyway, I truly and deeply thank you for joining me in this wonderful conversation today. I hope that you've learned a lot about the tactics, the hacks of really understanding life, and really understanding the unspoken language of life itself, because there's quite a lot of things that are actually happening in our lives and we can't really point out, where did I go wrong, how did I miss this one? We don't really understand. So these were the lessons really for us to understand that how to avoid such situations, how to avoid the things that we're really not aware of them, because they understand, they okay from the inside, it's either from us or to the other person. The things that we can never really be aware of them unless there's a philosopher like this Robert Greene. I truly and deeply thank you for joining me in this wonderful conversation. Thank you so much. Please do make sure that you subscribe, you hit the like button, and you join our community so that we could just keep sharing more of these book reviews. Thank you so much.